All right, hey guys, Tyler Jeffcoat here with Seller Accountant, and I want to kind of give you a gift. I've taken a lot of time to think through as a CFO the different kinds of business models, the different approaches to selling products online, and I get a lot of questions about, well, should I attack my business with this strategy versus this strategy? And the answer is always what's crucial is to align your strategy. I need to have a concrete sourcing strategy. I need to have a concrete selling strategy, and I need to have a concrete capital or funding strategy. Those three legs of the stool. And my funding strategy has to align with my selling strategy, whether that's direct to consumer or marketplace, arbitrage, brand, private label, white label. And so I want to take a minute and just walk you through how I view what I think are probably the six core business models that an accounting firm like Seller Accountant would support. But also you might be wondering, okay, like, am I a seller? Am I a brand owner? Am I not? So let me just unpack this really quickly in today's video. So the first layer of this, almost think about this kind of like the white belt, right? If you're like starting a martial arts, is retail arbitrage or online arbitrage. So I am in the game of literally physically going to Target or Walmart, buying that Nintendo 64, or it's funny if they're selling those as throwbacks, or Xbox or whatever it is. I'm buying it on sale and I'm going to turn around and try to arbitrage, which just means, arbitrage means I'm buying it at a low price, but have an opportunity over here to sell it at a higher price. And so if I can buy something for 20 bucks at Walmart, turn around and sell it on Amazon for 40 bucks, I might make a couple dollars profit. Retail or online arbitrage means I'm basically paying someone else's retail price. And so what are you good at here? You're good at quickly identifying opportunities, taking action on it, listing those opportunities. You're going to spend zero on advertising if you're a retail or online arbitrage seller. And then what do you focus on if you're trying to grow? Well, how can I find more opportunities? How can I get more credit cards? How can I maybe hire a couple of buyers to go into the local Walmarts or Targets or something like that? And so what are we going to measure if we're a real retail or online arbitrage seller? PAG, which you may have to reference some of my other videos to learn what that is, but it's just post-advertising gross profit. What's true gross profit for the products I'm selling? That is KPI number one for any arbitrage seller is, am I making a profit? Am I selling it at a price that allows me to make a profit? The second thing you have to keep an eye on as a true arbitrage seller is, do I have enough cash? Can I find another credit card or a small line of credit that allows me to increase my engine by buying more products? And then of course, interest rate's really important, because when you're borrowing 100% of your money to make quick purchases and your margins are skinny, then you can end up in a position where you lose money really quickly. And so for just to kind of let you know, by the way, when you're a retail arbitrage seller, you rarely have a lot of exit value, but the nice thing is that you don't have to spend a lot of money, right? It's very similar, by the way, to the second model here, wholesale arbitrage. Wholesale just means I found a way, instead of buying one unit, I can buy a pallet of units or a bunch of units. And the nice thing about wholesale arbitrage is I actually might have graduated to where I might be able to get a price break. I might be able to call that brand owner directly and say, hey, listen, I'd like to sell your brand on eBay or on Amazon. Would you be willing to give me a 15 or 20 or 30% price break so that I can make a few bucks, turn around and selling it? So wholesale arbitrage is more of the, I'm going to represent other brands. Now, some of the best tactics for growing if you're a wholesale arbitrage is, one is what I said over here in column B, which is, could I drop ship? Is it possible that I can pay you after I sell it? That's one good tactic. Second good tactic is to say, hey, could I find a way to negotiate that lower price by buying in bulk, right? That's the wholesale arbitrage model. Again, you're managing cash, you're managing interest rates, you're making sure that each and every sale that you make is profitable. And again, unfortunately, there's not a ton of exit value if we were to try to sell the business. Now, to be clear, any business that makes money, somebody will probably buy it. I'm just saying, in the kind of spectrum of different models we have here, you're not going to get a ton of exit value. The benefits of these arbitrage models is that they have really short cash cycles. And so let me unpack the last kind of true arbitrage model here, which is white labeling. So this is if I buy a product, let's say that I'm selling this notebook here, but instead of just selling the notebook, I buy a pen that would go with the notebook and I kit them together. So I actually get to create my own native listing on Amazon that I own. I don't have to compete for the buy box anymore, right? Because I have added something to someone else's brand. I have clients that'll sell a product, and the product needs to have a cloth to clean it. And so you put it in a box with it, right? You normally have to have a warehouse to do this white label strategy because you normally have to have people that are making a new version of the finished product. But the nice thing is that you can actually afford to spend a tiny bit of money on advertising, and you can capture more margin. The other thing that's exciting about these white label kit arbitrage businesses is that it's the first one where we get to take a look at return on working capital. I'm having to make longer term inventory investments for the first time here, if this is my model, because I'm not just drop shipping or buying something from Walmart I'm going to sell next week. I'm going to have to probably buy the whatever I'm adding to the box from China, from a supplier, and I'm probably going to be out that cash for 4 or 5 months. And so understanding return on investment, we call that return on working capital here at Seller Accountant. We got to find ways to launch new products. Hey, if I'm a white label kit arbitrage seller, can I launch 5 new products this quarter? Or do I need to be an accelerated version and fire off 50 new products? And then, of course, profit is still core. Nice thing is that you're starting to get a little bit of exit value should you go to market if you're a kitting. So in other words, you're adding some value to the product and you're able to capture a little bit more margin. So I'm going to go down. This blue one here is probably what most of us would view as being private label. This is the normal old school private label where we have started on Alibaba. We found a product that we want to source. So we're literally doing the work. We're going directly to a broker or to a manufacturer somewhere in the world, normally in China. And I'm going to use the Amazon data, Helium 10 or Techometrics or Cellular Labs or one of these great tools to identify an opportunity. I'm going to tweak the garlic press. I'm going to tweak the spatula, and I'm going to go find it in Alibaba and see if I can bring it into the States. There's not a lot of effort put on making a brand, but I technically own my own product, right? It's a little. If you think about like Me Too, if you think about you made a product, I'm going to make one that's pretty much exactly the same. I would say that that's probably the lightest version of a private label brand, but really it's just supply chain arbitrage. I've just found a way to cut out another middleman and go directly to my manufacturer. The nice thing is that you can actually make pretty good money as a supply chain arbitrage. That's a good business. You're still measuring return on capital. You got to launch new products. You're still managing profitability. But now, guess what? You might actually be able to nurture this business, make it 7 figures, and exit. Now you're going to have to buy more inventory, and you're almost always buying that inventory from China. And so get ready to invest more capital to get this business going. The models that get a little bit more exciting in terms of what you could command if you were to exit, if you were to sell the business, are your true brands. And I split these into 2 categories here. The first one is basically private label on steroids. I've actually got a trademark. I have actually spent some time engineering great packaging. I have understood my customer, the person that's going to buy this from me. I've done some research, and I am doing A+ content on Amazon. I'm spending money on videos, maybe partnering with a firm to do user-generated videos, and I'm more committed to my private label strategy. And I'm using not just the keywords, and I may have started, by the way, on Alibaba, but now I actually know my factory and I've got a heavier investment in the product, right? And so in this situation, of course, I've got to really be careful to manage return on working capital. I've got to make sure that my bookkeeping is good so I understand my post-advertising gross profit. And I've got to find ways to launch new products. But if I have more profitable products, I've got to find new channels. And so this is when you might start tiptoeing into a Shopify channel or into maybe a wholesale channel. If you're pets, you might start calling Chewy or Petco or something like that. And so when I think about this light green, the heavily branded private label, almost all of these brands start on Amazon and then expand into other sales channels as they get more closely related relationships with their customers. And again, the nice thing is that they're going to be able to command a higher multiple on the market when they sell. But guess what? Be ready to invest a little bit more to get that going. And then finally, A true direct-to-consumer brand is one that invented something. They had a great Kickstarter campaign, or maybe they were on Shark Tank, or maybe they already have a lot of traction. In other words, these direct-to-consumer brands normally start on Shopify or on some other sales channel and then pivot into Amazon or other marketplaces because they have such a large relationship with their customers that it's easier to take advantage of it. So that's the biggest difference between a heavily branded private label and a direct-to-consumer brand, is that the heavily branded private label starts from a marketplace where I'm using someone else's traffic and then tries to expand into having consumer relationships, whereas a direct-to-consumer brand truly has already cultivated those relationships and might then be able to leverage a marketplace as a secondary channel. So obviously you're going to get higher multiples in the market the further down this list you are. But I think what's really important is if you're getting started out, the key is to pick a model that works for you. Whatever level of capital you have, whatever level of sophistication that you have right now, start there and be intentional about aligning those 3 legs of your stool. Whatever my go-to-market strategy is, make sure my capital strategy and my sourcing strategy match it. This has been Tyler again from Seller Accountant. Take care.